recognize the member from Langley-Walnut Grove.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to address this House for the first time and to speak to the people in Langley and across the province of British Columbia for the first time as an MLA for Langley-Walnut Grove. My hope is that I will be succinct in my message, and given my passion for the topic, I will use much of this time to hammer home why I am here. Now, I will get to that message shortly, but first, I would like to start by taking time to express my gratitude to my family and friends who supported me during the campaign. Some were a bit more reluctant to jump on the bandwagon. As we all know, the job of an elected official is all-consuming, and often the ones closest to us are the most affected by the burden we carry. The campaign was a tough fight, and one requiring hundreds of hours. I would like to thank my predecessor today for her years of service. But mostly, I want to thank my incredible team of volunteers and staff, most of whom were strangers when I started this journey last summer, but whom I now call friends. We ran our campaign out of an old, vacant house, and today, we stand in the People's House here in Victoria. What we lacked in resources, we made up for in determination. We had an army of young adults hungry for change in this province. Our campaign knocked on the door of every single-family home in my riding. I put my personal phone number out there and personally answered every call. That same dedication and commitment is what I intend to bring to this job every single day. To my kids, whom are in the midst of launching their own adult lives, I did this for you. I am fighting to bring affordability back to this province so that you are never driven away from your home in search of affordable living and can live the life of freedom and opportunity that this country and province has promised to us all. To my parents, sitting at home, watching their daughter fight for accessible healthcare and services as you age in place, I do this for you. To my sister, a healthcare worker throughout the pandemic who continues to serve the most vulnerable today, and at a great personal sacrifice, I do this for you. And to my fiancé, thank you for your unending support of this crazy Canadian girl. Let's make 2025 the year we put the international border that lies between us behind us. And most importantly, to my constituents, you already know that I'm a fighter, and I will work every day to keep finding ways to serve you to the best of my ability. I am immensely humbled and honored by the trust you have placed in me as your MLA. I'm mostly an optimist and try to always assume the best in people. As I look around this chamber, I truly believe that most of us are here for the right reasons. We are here for the province and those unable to fight for themselves, but we should mostly drive to serve our community, which brings me back to why I am here. Langley, my hometown, sits mid-Fraser Valley, the last municipality in the Metro Vancouver Regional District, the proverbial middle child tucked away between Surrey and Abbotsford. Langley has come into its own and is now a force to be reckoned with, both economically and in demographic growth. I would suspect that many of you here are unaware of what is taking place south of the Fraser, but within the next few years, it will be the new urban centre of British Columbia. Recent statistics has Langley Township at a population of over 155,000 people. We have grown a staggering 15% in the past 5 years, topping 2.5% to 3.5% growth year over year. When my parents bought their first home in 1970 in Langley at the Smith Mobile Home Park, situated just off the 200th Street Highway 1 interchange, it was for the same reasons that people are still migrating there: affordability and beauty. You see, Langley Township is 75% ALR lands, full of farms of all kinds, and spans from the border to the Fraser River. However, we are also known as a community of communities, with 7 urban areas placed throughout the ALR: Aldergrove, Fort Langley, Walnut Grove, Willoughby, Murrayville, Willowbrook, Brookswood, Fernridge, each with its own distinct character and needs. I've lived in Langley my whole life, and already, with my first few trips to Victoria to get set up underneath my belt, I tend to get homesick, which is why I suspect that at the end of this 43rd parliamentary session, you will all be sick of hearing about Langley, if not an expert in it. They say the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but my goal here is to be just a little bit louder than a squeak. You see, for far too long, Langley Township has been overlooked by all levels of government across all party lines, thinking of us as some small town while missing out on the fact that we've become one of the fastest growing municipalities in the province. Langley Township is served by 3 provincial highways: Highway 1, Highway 10, and Highway 13. Langley Township has 4 highway interchanges along Highway 1. We are a commuter town. Since 2017, this NDP government has made 9 announcements on the highway, but to date, only 1 completed interchange. We've been living with construction chaos for years. During that same time period, we have experienced exponential construction cost increases, procurement delays, and a skilled labor shortage. Not pulling the trigger to deliver projects within Langley has caused my constituents to languish in traffic, losing productivity and time with their families. Highway 10, right down the middle of Langley, and a major east-west corridor leading from Highway 1 to Surrey, our portion is still a 2-lane road with 0 whispers of ever being widened. This same scenario also exists on Highway 13 through Aldergrove, mostly a 2-lane road which has multiple major accidents every year, many of them resulting in high-speed fatalities. The community hospital that I was born in still looks the same today, albeit with a few modifications. Promised an expansion under the BC Liberals in 2015, we are still waiting. In fact, during the fall NDP campaign announcements, this government re-announced that same expansion. Folks, that's 9 years between announcements. And the reality is, we need our long-term care project to be funded and completed before we can even think of making space for the hospital. So what's that? Another 5 years? In 2024, this government opened an urgent care centre in Langley as a stopgap solution to our desperately underfunded hospital and primary care doctor shortage. To quote the announcement from March last year, it said, quote, "The UPCC provides same-day care for people who need support for their health concerns within 12 to 24 hours, but do not require an emergency department. The UPCC is available to people who do not have a primary care provider, as well as people with a provider who are unable to schedule an appointment within 12 to 24 hours, close quote. But here's the reality of that program on the ground in Langley. It's not regularly staffed with physicians. Patients cannot call ahead to find out whether a doctor will be there. People show up to the clinic and find out that there isn't someone there to help them, depending on what ailment they have. And so the effectiveness of this facility is minimal to the average user. Langley deserves better. Then there's the schools. The province would need to build one school every year to keep up with the growth rates that we have in my riding alone. Since 2023, my constituency has had 3 school announcements. These announcements are not new information in Langley. These school sites have been sitting there ready to go and set aside by the municipality for years and years. But to this date, when we need a school delivered every year, none of these school projects have even commenced. Politics has always been a part of my life. In 1999, I was knocking on doors for a school board election in my hometown. For decades, Langley operated with a small town mindset, ignoring the clear signs of rapid growth. Watching from the sidelines, I realized the best way to create change was to step up and be the change. I first ran for office in 2011, and after years of dedication, I was elected in 2022. Since then, I have served on council with commitment and a steadfast focus on building a better future for the community. Until 3 months ago, I was still wearing steel-toed boots and a hard hat, working in construction to build houses for British Columbians. When you understand housing, you can look at your growing community through a unique lens. However, one day, my job helping shape our community's immense population boom was taken away from me and my municipal colleagues by housing bills passed by this NDP government. The township of Langley was never on the naughty list. We are not NIMBYs. We approve thousands of units a year. But with a unilateral sledgehammer, the Honourable Minister of Housing felt he knew best how to plan our municipality. What he may or may not have known was that Langley Township, like most cities south of the Fraser, has 3,000 acres of open developable lands. Lands on future transit corridors, with school and park sites already set aside, with civil infrastructure in place ready for growth now. But Bill 44 shifted and wasted city staff time to chase after hypothetical densification in built-out stable areas, and without allowing for parking requirements in a town with minimal transit options. We all drive cars. Why? So I would like to take a moment to thank the member from Delta North for unintentionally encouraging me to run for provincial office. But it's more than housing. It's also healthcare, public safety, and all the other issues that have been created and aggravated by the NDP government over the past few years. I love my hometown so much that my wants for it are viewed from nonpartisan eyes. This is why I'm actually hoping this new government finds success in fixing the problems that have been affecting Langley and the province during their previous terms. There was a significant list of NDP campaign announcements made for Langley Township in the fall. Things we desperately need, things that should have been finished 10 to 15 years ago. I'm hoping the NDP actually follows through with these commitments and don't drop Langley like they dropped the grocery rebate. I want to see the Minister of Infrastructure so often in Langley that she starts seeing it as her second home just outside of Vancouver. But I don't want her there for announcements. I want her there cutting ribbons and opening facilities. Honourable Speaker, Langley is no longer a small town. It is a thriving, rapidly growing community that deserves the infrastructure, healthcare, schools, and housing that match its needs. Yet, for far too long, this government has ignored us, making empty promises while leaving projects stalled, underfunded, or outright abandoned. The people of Langley don't need more re-announcements of the same projects, more delays, more political theatre. They need real action. They need highways that move, hospitals that heal, schools that teach, and homes that are actually affordable. This government has one job: to serve the people of British Columbia. If they fail to deliver for Langley, They fail all of us. So I say this to the NDP government: do your job. Cut the ribbons, not just the press releases. But most of all, don't make promises you have no intention of keeping. To my constituents in Langley-Walnut Grove, I will fight for you every single day. I will not let this government forget our community. I will hold them accountable at every turn, because Langley deserves better and British Columbia deserves better.